Next, let us analyze my design on the theme Move and Change. The fusion of 5 colors, miscellaneous things come together in various forms. I think that the word seasonal is the most appropriate for the way they come together. Fresh things, lively things, and seasonal things come together as if they were attracted by a magnet. This is because seasonality changes with the change of seasons and with the passage of time. What I kept in mind was that while changing every detail, in the end it would come together with a single personality. Move, change, but ultimately suggesting an individuality. I wanted it to be that kind of design. This thought process is reflected in the design of the veracity of rumors. For example, rumors. They start around an individual and make their rounds inside every corner of the society. This is a magazine that approaches their truth and dynamism. I designed over 290 issues of this magazine over the span of 25 years. The editorial content was well received and gained a large number of readers. The design of the second round is from the 1920s to the 1940s, that is Japanese advertising typography from the Taisho and Showa eras, learning from the retro style character composition. Also, large illustrations are laid out. The illustrations stimulate the right side of the brain and the text stimulates the left side. The image on the right side of the brain collides with the text on the left side, and the persistent, flexible, and transient nature of rumors is expressed vividly. An illustrator named Fujio Watanabe was at the center, and many young illustrators actively worked together. This entire style changes continuously every 3 months. It navigates freely, seeking nature and freshness. Whimsical rumors and momentary rumors. Please watch this video to see the changes and the movements that approach the essence of the rumor. Illustrations are sketched monthly by different illustrators. For example, the theme of this series is glasses. These are 3 issues. The next 3 issues are about touch or grasp. These have become themes that depict the working of the 5 senses that lie at the root of rumors. The next one is entanglement. It is a figure of 2 people intertwined. Also, there were elements of illustrations which were decided to be contours. This is a series that borrows the contour of stamps. I'm sure you have already noticed, but the letters in the title are slanted sideways and sometimes reversed. This defies the accepted norms. For example, like this, the truth characters are overturned. The whole thing is also reversed. Of course, bookstores and retailers complained about such bold developments. However, the editor-in-chief of this magazine, Mr. Yasunori Okadome, was a person with a strong rebellious spirit who experienced the times when the student movement was active, and he actively repelled such complaints. The embodiment of this rebellious spirit became famous in the mass media along with Mr. Okadome. Continuing great changes every 3 volumes, developing beyond common sense like a fluctuating rumor. But what we tried to keep in mind was that in the end, it all came together in one composition, in a unique format. Change, move, but it converges into one individuality, one personality. I wanted it to be that kind of design. It was a little hard work, but here are the designs of all the 289 issues of The Veracity of Truth, span over 25 years, and their covers. I think some of you may have picked it up at the convenience store, bookstore. Please take a look at this long scrolling screen. The first books on the left of the book series are all illustrated by Mr. Fujio Watanabe. His illustration appeared at the beginning of the series and gave directions to the illustrations of the 2 successive artists. With a style that changes greatly every 3 volumes, I think you can see the drastic descent to completely different styles that seem to be completely unrelated to each other. With the passage of time, the staff that cooperated with me changed. 5 staff members are involved in this design. They are Hitoshi Suzuki, Akihiko Tanemura, Akazaki Shoichi, Goukaku O, Koichi Sakano, and Kaoru Shimada. Well, at last, the final series, the weekly issue series, declaring the end. I would like to point out that this magazine sales did not go down for weeks. I issued a weekly declaration at the peak of sales. It was a countdown to a week. Readers were looking forward with regret to that magnificence, unimaginable at that time. For me as well, it was an unusual experience, an unusual design. It was a dramatic finish. Another representative example of the ever-changing design is the cover of the Ginka magazine that we saw earlier. The quarterly Ginka focuses on the arts and traditional crafts of Japan and East Asia. Above all, it's a magazine that seeks to unearth and convey the aesthetics and culture hidden in the craftsmen of the people. My cover design lasted for 40 years. I did the cover design until the last issue. The large letters lined up on the cover are of a special Mincho typeface called Shoitai, which has strong lines. The ends of the characters are flabby. It seems like a masculine font. The characters on the front cover reflects the editor's writing skills and is organized with an arrangement of beautiful words, beautiful sounds of Japanese that can be read aloud. It is the efforts of Mrs. Fukihiko Hosai and her staff. With the help of an editor who is sensitive to the rhythm of the letters, I was able to boldly pursue this type of readable design, a cover page that can be read aloud. The cameraman in charge of the cover was Mr. Yoji Kobayashi. He always took impressionable pictures. Those pictures, overflowing with emotion, would collide with the bold typeface of Shoitai, and we were able to continue creating characteristic cover pages this way. Ginka had 4 issues a year. The 4 seasons, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, would be 1 year's share, but even this magazine throws away the previous styles every year. We carried out upright transformations. It was a production method that made it look like a completely new magazine. But the 4 issues of a year would draw attention to one clearly defined personality. As it grew old, we maintained a unique design based on the power of letters. This was what we put effort into. Over 40 years, around 40 types of cover designs with personality have been born. Now let us take up the magazine You. This unique magazine was launched in 1971, 35 years ago. It was a magazine that had the then 27-year-old Shigo Matsuoka was the chief editor. Scientists participated, philosophers and literary scholars contributed, artists and photographers also contributed to the production. In the end, even flyers made an appearance. Many people came together for the main title You. Although it is a scientific treatise, it is literary, and while it is an art theory, it is rich in scientific considerations It was a collection of compositions spanning the limits. This is the cover of the first issue of 1971. This cover was drawn by an illustrator named Mitsumasa Wada, who has precise pencil stroke. It was illustrated based on my idea. A drop of milk falling from the sky lifts up feathers like a crown from below. In addition, from the center, an inner single drop jumps out towards the sky due to the recoil. Based on this moment, captured by the lens of a high-speed camera, I thought of the image of milk flying out into the sky due to anti-gravity and transforming into human eyeballs in an instant, staring at the sky. That was what was illustrated. Using vivid images lurking in the causal phenomena of the universe as the theme, I moved to depict improbable moments in realistic miniature paintings. The cover of the 55th issue depicts the process of formation of our human face. It is illustrated based on the flow diagram of the skin in the process of forming the fetus's eyes, mouth, and nose in the mother's body. For some reason, a fly flies in and opens the eye of the fetus, making it a slightly unpleasant composition. This is, of course, an impossible spectacle. This sort of play with the images, where illustration is in the limelight, is the cover design of the first season of You. The design changed drastically for the second year of You. These are designs of 1979 from 30 years back. For example, this is a special issue on breathing. From a widely open mouth, first gush out Islamic characters which continue as ancient Japanese characters. Like to it next are recent female characters, hiragana. This way it is a design with a theme of breathing and voice. The back cover also had this sort of design. The letters on the spine are lined with words that represent various academic fields. In later issues, the part on the spine is replaced with Burmese characters or Islamic characters. In the second season of You, two special articles are arranged. The title of these articles are expressed contrastingly on the front and back covers in multicolor printing, in other words, tricolor printing using three primary colors. Actually, what looks like black here is a superimposition of yellow, red, and cyan. The three colored inks, yellow, magenta, and cyan, it is the black of tricolor printing. Black ink is not used. It is the black formed by the superimposition of yellow, red, and indigo. However, if any of the colors are removed off, various colors will appear in that area. If blue is scraped off, a vivid red appears. If red is scraped, green appears. It is a design that reverses the principle of printing with three primary colors. This issue covers the research of Taoism and the study of the Big Dipper on the front and the back. This issue covers the research of Taoism and the study of the Big Dipper on the front and back. The next issue explores the Buddhist deity of compassion, Avalokiteshvara, and youth side by side. In this issue, the Bodhisattva of compassion, Avalokiteshvara, is holding a lotus flower in his right hand and trying to open its petals with the fingerprints of his left hand. We have used for the design Buddhist pictures of the moment that leads to enlightenment. In this way, changes in the subject are reflected in the composition of the cover. By the way, I would like you to pay attention to the title part of you, where the number of dots keep increasing on top of character. The horizontal bars keep increasing. In this magazine, the title keeps changing. For each issue, the number of character strokes increases. This is an endeavor to keep the title itself moving. It is an idea that uniquely applies to kanji. This is the magazine Bun, Academia, which contemplates on the problems of children and education, published by the Common Educational Research Institute. In this case, one of the characters selected for the title, Bun, spins a variety of meanings such as bun from bunshu composition, the mon of monyo pattern, fumi of letter, aya for intersecting, entwining twills, etc. For this reason, the way this single character is read is changed. The character Bun can meet the Bun in Bunmai civilization or Bunka culture. The title can be read differently based on the way it is read. The title keeps moving. It is that sort of an endeavor. The title of the magazine would be decided based on my suggestion. Let's take a look at the movements of variation in the cover design. Mr. Akihiko Tanimura, Mr. Atsushi Sato, and Mrs. Izumiko Soeda collaborated for the design. Next up is the magazine Nature and Culture. It is a magazine that blends various themes surrounding climate, people, and culture in Japan and Asia. It tries to find the roots of various manners and customs hidden in the common people culture of Japan, even expanding to East Asia. Each issue has a theme. This issue discusses Asian drums. The issue on the right is a special issue on wind. It deals with the meaning of climate, with the participation of various folklorists, cultural anthropologists, and artists. Already 80 issues have been published. The theme keeps changing with every issue. They are edited as standalone volumes. For example, in White and Black, it deals with extreme colors, and in Wear over the head, the representatives cap, Shinto traditional cap, and hat are considered. For the cover design of this magazine, I made a style that will innocently become the theme of each issue. It keeps moving to the power of vision, small gods, etc. The cover design will keep assuming the form of the title, a sign of emphasis. The title, Nature and Culture, is written in a small space in the upper right corner. The inhabitants of Seto Inland Sea, Hongshan culture, and Jomon culture. This is a comparative treatise of Sino-Japanese ancient culture. And then Asian mask art, spiritual power of animals, bridge, East Asian puppet show. Still, when viewed as a whole, I came up with a form that has a common atmosphere of nature and culture. In all, I designed around 80 issues. Mr. Shoichi Akazaki collaborated in the first half, and Mr. Atsushi Sato supported us for the later half. The next one is a magazine called Japanese Aesthetics. It will focus on scholarly belongings to the Japanese Society of Aesthetics, a quarterly magazine published in a special feature format. This issue takes up and discusses the Japanese aesthetics of time. The previous design was like this. From when I started designing the issue, large Japanese crests are arranged and boldly repeated in 3 layers and printed in gold like this. The right side issue is Space, the left one with the special edition Fantasy. It is a design in which a Japanese image peeks out from the gaps of the crest. The next ones are the special edition issues Play and Decorate, and then Sex and Evening. Nearly 12 issues were published with this kind of design. This is one of my favorite designs. The design keeps moving with changes in the position of the title or the color. Mr. Akihiko Tanimura collaborated with us on this. The magazine called Nova Japana Litteraturo. It is a literary magazine published by leftist writers post-war. This design is from 1964, almost 45 years old. It took a year to design it. It is one of the works from my younger days. The colors were limited to 2. Therefore, it was printed, covered with a stronger color, and on top of that, a vivid pattern that will make an impression was laid out in black. It was a pattern that emphasized the vitality of the literature and the swell of writing, the design giving a very Japanese expression. We designed it by changing the pattern continuously. 40 years back, it was a very striking design, but the writer and the critics who were affiliated with it apparently criticized that the design was too modern and did not reflect a sense of life. But the chief editor, Mr. Ichiro Hariu, who understood the design, intently repressed the criticism, and we continued with this design for 2 years. Concentric circles that repeat like ripples form the basis for this pattern. The ripples that go inward look like a sphere. The ripples that expand outward resemble a hole. Altering these two in different ways and combining them gave us infinite patterns. Let us look at an animation of the generation of these patterns. Since it is a short animation, let's have a look at it again. black and white, these distinctly separated patterns were created by considering the return to the traditional Japanese pattern. On the other hand, designed around the same time, pursuing modern mathematics is Mathematics Seminar. It was a magazine of science and mathematics. This was also designed 45 years ago. The pattern that keeps varying on the front cover is from the accumulation of concentric circles. The bigger circles are on the outside, the circles in the center, and then smaller circles. When such circles of three different sizes were arranged as full circles and semicircles, combined and superimposed, shifting position, it gave rise to such a dynamic pattern, like this, for example. And then like this. Let's have a look at this video. An organic design that expands and contracts and develops within itself. Organic is a word that means like a living organism. In 1964, I named this technique the self-propagating design. Propagating by dividing and combining by itself, it creates limitless variations. Here is an example of applying this technique to a music review magazine, Musical Arts. This is also a design from 45 years ago, starting in the beginning of the 1960s and continuing for 3.5 years. Let's watch the video to see the self-propagating pattern used in the last few issues. The last pattern is the modernistic reverberation of sound, an image of noise. Just as in the cover of Japanese aesthetics we saw earlier, the pattern is created considering the Japanese crest. Noise propagates this way. I think you can perceive how the previous pattern is cut and the new pattern is inserted. This pattern was actively used in the jacket design of the LP of electronic music released soon after that. Used through the first collection, it was also brought out for the second collection. Generation of noise patterns was a design method I've been working since my younger days. Why noise? I will explain it again later.